my real sense of direction came when I met my producer, Farooq Chaudhry, who was an ex-dancer, who was also a dancer before, but was hugely involved in, he was more interested in creative management. And he was also searching for an artist that he would be inspired by, but also that he could inspire. And so that it was like a marriage that came when the both of us met. I think just before 2000, and eventually in 2000 we formed a company together. And so when I make solo work, or when I work in collaboration with other dancers, or when I'm making work with me absent to it, but on a company, my company, the thing is, what's common in all of them is that there's a sense of collaboration. My first piece, Bahok, was the first piece that I did when I stepped out, was I was constantly confronted with, this is not the way I imagined it. And so it took a little while to let go of that perfection and to realize that actually what's in your head is not important in the process. It's only important in the beginning because you have to adapt, you have to change because the people are changing. They're changing every day. One person comes into a studio, the next day he comes back or she comes back, they've changed. And so in a sense, I had to get better in not letting go of it, but evolving with that perfection and allowing it to mutate into something new. The collaborator asks a question that you do not want to hear. And they're asking genuinely from an audience perspective. Your ego gets in the way because you're in denial, because you like an idea so much. It's confronting your own ideas and learning to let go of them. You have to learn to sacrifice. And so that is the most difficult part of working with collaborators. We have three phases in all my collaboration, in all my work, in all processes. The first one is playtime, where you're like a child. You come into a studio and anything is possible. That's a really important stage, because that is where you can discover things. There's no agenda, there's no pressure to make a piece. But I know I'm going to make it. We all know we're going to make a piece. But in those 6 weeks, I try to get rid of that and say, this is the time, sacred time, to play. And then comes the process of reflection, let's say. The kind of suspended time where we're discussing what happened over the 6 weeks. And then I start to make decisions, I start to commit. This scene that we were playing with, we discovered that, and I want to invest in that. And then comes the third part of the process, is from the production all the way to the first show, and even longer than that, where you're realizing the working, especially when the audience is there, it changes the meaning of the piece. I find that, when I worked in Gnosis, I worked with a Japanese dancer in the original Gnosis, where she was a drummer, but when she stood and the way they hold themselves, there is something going on internally that you cannot see, that doesn't have form. And I would call that spiritual. And so in a sense, Vertical Road was made on that decision of spirituality because of that experience I had with Jessica.